Today's reset class is called Center Your Head. So we're talking about the head of the arm bone, the humeral head. When the humeral head is centered in the glenoid process, we have optimal range of motion. And so today we're going to be working on stabilizing in the glenohumeral joint, right where this arm bone comes and plugs into your torso. So we'll be doing a few movements to feel ourselves centered there so that we can get this full range of motion and really feel the maximum amount of freedom in our shoulders. Come down onto your back to get started. You'll have your feet walked in, not to be super close or anything. You'll just have your sacrum, back of the pelvis, and your shoulders and the back of the skull connected to the ground. And I just want you to just make some fists with your hands. Bring your elbows in close. And squeeze your scapula together here. So you just want to feel a little bit of shoulder blade retraction, the scapula coming in towards the spine. Now push into your elbows and your back of your arms, your triceps there, and let your ribs puff up just a bit here so that you can feel this drawing together of your shoulder blades. Now continue to go with this, letting your shoulders just kind of set back onto the back of the thorax here and the back ribs, and then pushing down into those elbows, allowing a little puffing up in the ribs so we can get this drawing together of the scapula. Keep going like that, maybe even feeling already a little bit of scrubbing out. What we're doing is we're drawing these shoulders back. If you're like me, you spend any amount of time at the computer. I spend a decent amount of time there throughout my day. I know you might find that you too have a little bit of that forward rounding in the shoulders. So especially this little shoulder blade retraction, helping us just get this awareness and this recentering of, again, that humeral head in that glenoid process, that shoulder socket. One more time here, get a little puff up of the ribs, and we're gonna bring our shoulder blades, scapula back down onto the back of the thorax, those ribs, then take your hands up towards the ceiling. Now look at the hands and just kind of draw the scapula together. They're retracting, but they can't come fully together since we have the floor in the way. Spread the fingers, pushing the feet, and get a little lift. Coming up to our low bridge pose, just resetting the pelvis, root the tailbone towards the heels. Start to lift and lower the pelvis, getting a little hip extension. Take your left hand across your right fingers. Pull back, give a little wrist stretch. And at the same time, feel that humeral head plug even more into the shoulder socket. So draw it into like you're pulling it back into the torso, down into the floor here. Okay, one more breath. Continue your pulses here. So continue to fire up the glutes, keep rooting the tailbone. And then release your right hand, get the left hand going. You're gonna pull back on those fingers, a little stretch into the wrists. Feel the glutes working, rooting the tailbone, feet are pressing. We can hold here in our low ramp pose. Once again, feel the humeral head plugging into that shoulder socket, and almost like you're trying to pull that arm bone down into the floor. You can release the right wrist and then bring yourself down one vertebrae at a time. It's that upper, middle, and lower back. We'll do a little core work like we always in our reset classes to wake up the abdominals, get them working with the big movers, the glutes. Hands come behind your head, interlace the fingers, pull the elbows in here so that you can really let the neck relax into the hands. Take an inhale. Exhale and lift. Shoulder blades come up off of the ground. So we're lifting the shoulder blades here. Elbows are drawn in, so everything gathering together. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift, everything gathers together. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling and let your scapula protract, so slide a little bit away from the spine. Then make a fist here and pull your elbow down into the floor. Now we're retracting that scapula back onto the shoulder blade, feeling again that humeral head centering into the shoulder socket. Right hand comes back behind the head, inhale and lower. And that should help to ignite the core a little bit more there too. So we'll go over the left arm, exhale and lift. Reach the left arm up, spreading the fingers. Then you're gonna make a fist. You're gonna plug that left elbow down into the ground. You're gonna feel that shoulder socket align, hopefully. Core pulls in more. Left hand comes back. Inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together here. Reach the right arm up again. Make a little fist. Bring that right elbow down. Pull that arm bone into the center of that shoulder socket. Then kick your left leg forward. Spread the left toes. So using the connection to the elbow and the upper core to also allow the expansion of the left leg. Left foot comes down, right hand comes back. Inhale and lower. Let's get one more. Exhale and lift. It gathers. Left arm reaches up. Make a little fist. Pull that left elbow down. Shoulder in socket. Right leg kicks forward, spread the toes, keep that right elbow in, pull it all together. Right foot comes down, left hand comes back, inhale and flourish. Like you need more, feel free to take about 3 or 4 more of those. Go ahead, come around onto quadruped. And we're not gonna let go of that feeling of the abdominal lift that we just got, front body drawing into the back body. Hands will come under the shoulders and bias your knees a little bit closer towards your wrists than maybe even you normally do. I'm gonna just make sure we're holding this neutral pelvis. You're gonna lift the throat to the back of the neck, pushing down into your hands, get a little bit of feedback, a little bit of communication. You wanna feel these shoulder blades sitting on the back ribs. Feel like you could dial your left hand out to the left, your right hand out to the right. Feel the humeral head centering in that shoulder socket. And then keeping the core engaged. So all that good stuff that we just heated up and worked a moment ago in the space below the belly button, you want to keep that lifted in the low back line. But at the same time now, without bending the elbows, allow your chest to soften towards the floor. So moving the scapula on the back ribs, then pushing the hands and allow those shoulders just to reset on those back ribs. So we're not going and rounding the upper back yet. We're gonna pull the shoulder blades together, feel drawing together, a little movement of the scapula, pushing into the hands, feeling the scapula set back on the ribs. So let's keep going with that, pulling the shoulder blades together, feeling the melting of the chest, pushing to the hands, resetting the scapula on the back ribs. And what we're doing here is we're getting a little motion for the scapula. A big part of this humeral head and how it's moving is part of what's called the scapular humeral rhythm. How your scapula moves on the back of the thorax, those back ribs, and how your humeral bone's moving in that shoulder socket. One more time, let's melt that chest down. And then press, reset your scapula back onto your back ribs. Come down onto your forearms, with your elbows underneath of the shoulders. Again, knees are under the hips or even just a little bit closer. Start off extending your right arm forward and you're gonna keep your pinky down. We're gonna do this about 5 times, just working a little bit of strengthening range of motion above that 90-degree flexion, still keeping the humeral head centered. So the palms facing in, the right pinky's down, and then pressing into your left forearm, keeping that core engaged. Lift your right arm up off the floor. And you're gonna go ahead and tap it down. Lift it back up, bring it down, tapping it down. And we're really working both of those humeral arm bones and all the muscles around them, stabilizing that rotator cuff. Left arm is stabilizing here. The right arm is getting a little bit more of the mobility, but then we're gonna hold it, lift it. Again, thumb stays up. Now we're getting a little more stability in that right arm. And then bring your right elbow down. Let's take that with the left arm now. So extend your left arm forward. Pinky is down on the ground, palms facing in. So again, the muscles of the right rotator cuff here are gonna stabilize surrounding that humeral head, big part of keeping that head centered. Lift your left pinky off the ground and then give it a little tap. And this is part of that scapulohumeral rhythm too. We're getting this little upward rotation, this extension to the scapula. Bringing this lift of the arm, this heightening, this stability. Right arm stabilizing the whole time too, and your core holds in, steady and strong. One more time, let's hold the left arm up, just for a nice big breath, full in that torso. We're gonna bring the left forearm down. We'll have both forearms down. Feel free to tie the hands together as well. With the forearms down, we're again going to focus on keeping the scapula on the back ribs. So avoid the temptation to round the back. That can start to happen sometimes, some compensation there. We're going to push more into the forearms and again, keep this centering the humeral head so that we can strengthen these muscles around that rotator cuff, holding it in that central position. Slide your left foot back, slide your right foot back. So you guessed it, coming into forearm plank. Let's try to keep our pelvis in line with that shoulder girdle. Keep the area just below that belly button, lifting up and into the low back line. Glutes are working here. One more breath. Push down to your forearms. Almost feel like you could like pull your forearms apart. So sometimes that helps, like even making fists like that. Then bring your left forearm down, or sorry, your left knee down, your right knee down. Hopefully those forearms stay down the whole time. So again, palms can be down. We can make those fists like we did before or tie hands together. Slide the right foot back, slide the left foot back. We're gonna avoid the temptation to bring the humeral head out of that central position. Remember, so much rounding going on in our lives They might just be going there because you're already set in that position. You're used to being there. Let's start to bring some balance by strengthening with that humeral head centered. And we'll bring our right knee under and our left knee under. And we'll get a little movement with this. So come back up into your quadruped. This time we'll go the other way with it. Hands under the shoulders. Again, feel like you could dial the left hand out to the left, right hand out to the right. But again, we're going to go the other way at the scapula by protracting, pushing the hands, feeling a little spreading of those shoulder blades. Tuck your toes and then hoist your pelvis high. Keep the humeral heads centered in the arm bones. So what I want you to notice is, do you feel at all if the chest is going way below those arms and you're starting to poke those humeral heads up and into that soft stuff in the shoulders? Let's pull more at the hands, kind of bring a little bit more weight, like 50% in the hands, 50% in the feet, and see if you can lift your face up and out of those armpits. Take another breath here. We're going to step the left foot forward. See if you can keep the hands down, lower the right knee. You can untuck the top of the foot. You can always scoot that left foot forward. We're in a 90-90 low lunge, arms reach forward and up. See if you can get the reach forward and up without popping the low ribs. And then we're going to bring our hands forward in front of us, kind of like we were in our bridge pose. Draw the humeral heads back to that glenoid process. Feel that shoulder socket centering here. Arms are still out in front. We're looking at the fingers, spreading them, preparing them to bring the hands down, lift the back right knee and slide your left foot back to meet the right. You're in this plank pose, just holding it steady here. Feel like you could push your hands towards the outer edges of the mat. Feel that stabilization around those rotator cuffs. Then lower the knees. From here, keep the core on, keep that low rooting of the tailbone, keep the head of the arm bones centered here. Bend the elbows, coming all the way down to the ground. As we come to the ground here, feel your hands next to you, pull your hands back, and again, feel like you could dial the left hand out to the left and the right hand out to the right. Lifting the belly into the low back, root your tailbone. So this is going to help keep those arm bones centered. Now from here, keep the knees down, but exhale, pushing the hands, feel a little extension of the elbows. And we're just holding those scapula on the back ribs, avoiding the temptation around. Not yet. We're gonna bend the elbows, bring it down, try and keep the head of the arm bones lifted. Still feel that little dialing out sensation in each hand. Again, feel your hands pull back, feel those shoulder blades hug onto those back ribs. And then push into the hands and straighten those elbows again. Really good. One more time, lower, all the way down. And once again, pull back with the hands, dial the hands out. It's a little cobra here, root the tailbone, lengthening from the shoulders all the way down to the tailbone. Knees stay down, press, up through plank, walk the knees in. You're back in your quad. Here, pushing the hands, spread the shoulder blades, tuck the toes, hover the knees, and then hoist your pelvis up. Don't let your head sink down below those armpits, but keep it lifted up, almost like your biceps are kind of either probably framing out your chin or maybe those cheekbones a little bit. It can depend on the shoulder length, but remember, feel your arm bone nice and centered there. It's got lots of space for moving. We're going to step the right foot forward, bring the left knee down. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up in that 90-90 low lunge. So keep the glute on, especially that left one there, let it hold you up. Bring the hands forward, spread the fingers. Pull the head of the arm bones back in that glenoid process. Hands are out in front. We're gonna spread those fingers so you're right in the center of that shoulder socket. Core is on here, ribs don't pop. Bring the hands down, tuck the left toes, lift the left knee, coming up into our plank. Try to keep those arm bones centered, avoid the temptation around. We're gonna wake some other muscles up. Lower the knees down, we're adding on just a little bit here. So keep the head of the arm bones lifted all the way to the ground. What I mean is don't let those shoulder heads roll forward. When you come to the ground this time, again, I want you to feel like you could dial the hands out, keep those arm bones centered, pull back in the hands, and hold this. This time, hover your right hand. Bring that right hand down, hover the left hand. Bring that left hand down, push into the hands, knees stay down, extend the elbows. Just keep the shoulder blades on the back ribs. Lower down to the ground. Head of the arm bones stay lifted. Again, feel like the left hand, right hand could go dialing out. Pull back the hands like a little baby cobra here. Core is lifting up. Left hand hovers. Bring it down. Right hand hovers. Still try to keep the head of the arm bone lifted in the center. Hand comes down. Knees are down. Push into both hands. Straighten the elbows. Lower. Head of the arm bone stay lifted. Pull back with the hands. Hover the right hand. Keep that humerus centered. Bring that right hand down. Hover that left hand, keep the belly lifted, root the tailbone. Left hand comes down, push the hand, straighten the elbows. Here's our last one. Lower. Head of the arm bone stay lifted. Pull back with the hands, hover the left hand, comes down, hover the right hand, comes down, lower. Keep your forehead down. But now walk your fingertips up in line with your shoulders. Point your elbows up and come up onto your fingertips so your palms are lifted. You're like tenting your hands here. Squeeze, retract those shoulder blades together. You can tuck the toes, root the tailbone, inhale, pull back with the fingers, and feel a nice opening in the chest. We're going to finish with a nice little opening. So first bring the hands in. Keep the head of the arm bones lifted. Just because we're starting to wind down doesn't mean we're going to let go of our nice movement patterns we just started practicing. Knees stay down, press up, walk them in. Now, start off in this quadruped. Again, humeral head centered in that glenoid process. So feel like you could dial the left hand up the left, the right hand up the right. Don't actually move on you. You still keep those wrists kind of lined up at the front of the mat. And it's going to really help to dial in that arm bone into the center of the shoulder socket. And don't let go of the abdominal like hold, pulling everything up and into the low back line, but pull back with the hands. They won't really move and broaden the chest. Inhale. Push into the hands and spread your shoulder blades. Exhale. You can root your tailbone and let your neck go. So now we're getting a little more range of motion with those humeral heads and scapulohumeral rhythm. Again, inhaling, pulling with the hands. It's like a cobra chest. And you exhale, press, and whoo, spread your shoulder blades. Little cat rounding. Really let yourself root that tailbone, get a nice pull on this whole back line of the body. Go through one more time. Of course, feel free to take as many as you want. Come back into just feeling the head of the arm bones centered, because again, that's our little theme today. Center your head, humeral head. Then come on up. We can just do this on our knees, or you could do this standing if being on your knees isn't comfortable, or even sitting on a chair just upright. But go ahead, interlace your fingers, bring your hands behind your head and take your elbows out wide. Really draw those shoulder blades together. So we're just going to feel again the humeral head centered, and now a little triple S stacking. So just getting this alignment and feeling it here. And this is something we can do throughout our day at your desk if you're working from home. Take a little moment every now and then, check in with this. So fingers are interlaced again, elbows are wide. You're drawing your skull back into your palms and draw your ribs in. So don't let those ribs flare out like we were doing in our bridge on purpose to draw the shoulders together. Now we're gonna hold them in. We have the core engaged, so we're ready to do that. Root your tailbone down and take 3 more breaths with me here. Really fill up into the torso. We're gonna avoid those temptations to just go into any of your usual places. Popping the ribs, letting the elbows sink forward. Let's release that. You know what? Let's roll our shoulders back one at a time just to finish it up. It's always a good one to end it with. Now you can allow for a little bit more movement of the ribs. And again, we're just feeling this scapular humeral rhythm. That humerus bone moving, that shoulder socket, and that scapula gliding over the thoracic spine and the ribs. All right, so we'll go ahead. So the shoulder rolls down. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit clearer about how to center your humeral head and why having that centered will really help to optimize that movement. Again, we'll be lowering in a way where it's safe, it's protected, it's not pushing on anything, like the ligaments and tendons of the shoulders or anything that might start to feel uncomfortable over time. It will also help you to have just more choice and more freedom in your movement when we're centered than we really are at the starting line, to pull back, retract, to push forward, protract, to get these elevations, these reaches up, and all these wonderful motions in life. So I hope you feel ready for that. And the light in me does truly honor, feel, and see the light in you that does truly tie us all together.